Hi guys, today let us take up the lymphatic system, or otherwise called as the immune system or lymphoidal system. So the lymphatic system consists of lymph capillaries, lymphatic ducts, lymph nodes, lymph cells and lymph organs, primary organs and secondary organs. When you compare the circulatory system and lymphatic system, one main difference is that the lymphatic system is one-way circulation. It takes the lymph from the body tissue and takes to the blood. So mind this point, this is lymphatic circulation is one-way circulation. Now, what is lymph? So, lymph is a colorless fluid having the composition of plasma with greater amount of fats, oxygen, lymphocytes, waste products and also hormones. So, this is about the lymph. So, lymph is blood minus RBC, platelet and plasma protein. So, lymph is blood minus RBC, platelet and plasma protein. It's a colorless fluid having the composition of plasma with greater amount of fats, oxygen, lymphocytes, WBC, waste products and also hormones. Now, let us look at this diagram for an easy explanation of the lymph formation. So this is the blood vessel. You can see the blood vessel into which the blood is flowing. From the blood vessel through the capillaries, the oxygen transport and other things, exchanges are taking place. Besides that, some amount of blood oozes out into the space in between the cells. That space in between the tissue is called as the interstitial space. So, this is the tissue, this is the blood vessel flowing. In between the capillaries and the tissues, exchanges take place, etc., etc. Besides that, the gap between the tissues or the space between the tissues is called as the interstitial space. Into this interstitial space, some amount of blood oozes out. That some amount of blood oozing out into the interstitial space is called as the interstitial fluid or otherwise called as the lymph. In your NCERT book, it is clearly given when the blood is flowing through the capillaries, some amount of blood oozing out into the interstitial space as the interstitial fluid called as lymph. Right. So now from the blood vessel, from the capillaries into the interstitial space, some blood is flowing or oozing out, that is called the interstitial fluid, that is called as lymph. That lymph is having the composition blood minus RBC, platelet and plasma protein. So when the blood is flowing there, the plasma protein having high molecular weight are flowing through the blood vessel, having lesser amount of molecular weight protein are oozing out into the interstitial space as lymph. Right? So now lymph has been formed here. Then you can see the lymphatic capillaries. The lymphatic capillaries collect the lymph and the lymphatic capillaries unite to form lymphatic duct. So many lymphatic capillaries unite to form the lymphatic duct. Then on the flow of the lymphatic duct, you can see lymph nodes then and there, lymph nodes. They act as the mechanical filter. We will take up separately lymph node, spleen, etc. Lymph, when we take up lymph organs, we will explain all these things. So here the lymphatic capillaries collect the lymph and they unite to form the lymphatic duct, and in the lymphatic duct on the way there are so many lymph nodes. They act as the filters. Now the lymph duct divides into two, right lymphatic duct and left lymphatic duct. The right lymphatic duct opens into right subclavian vein and left lymphatic duct opens into the left subclavian vein. When you see this right lymph duct, you see the smallest lymphatic duct. You must know, smallest lymphatic duct is the right lymphatic duct and the left duct is the largest lymphatic duct. The left duct is the largest lymphatic duct. You must differentiate, you must know. So finally the subclavian vein opens into inferior vena cava and it opens into the right atrium. Now if you see the circulation from the capillaries, from the body, from the capillaries, the interstitial fluid, lymph is taken by the lymphatic capillaries, and then lymphatic capillaries unite to form the lymphatic duct, and the lymphatic duct have the lymph nodes then and there acting as the mechanical filter, and then the lymph ducts, right and left lymph ducts open into the subclavian vein and the internal jugular vein. At the junction of the internal jugular vein and the subclavian vein, the lymph ducts open and then it goes to the heart. So it is, can clearly say it is a one-way circulation. It's very important. Then what are the functions of the lymphatic system? This will take up. What are the main functions of the lymphatic system? What does the lymphatic system do in our body? The first function, the first and foremost function is the maintenance of body fluids. Maintenance of body fluids. It balances the body fluid mechanism. Drains excess of lymph, interstitial fluid from the tissue into the blood and maintains the body fluid mechanism. Number two, immunity. It produces two types of cells, B and T cells. And it is the third line of defense mechanism, forming the third line of defense mechanism. So the system produces B and T cells and provides the third line of defense mechanism. Third important point, absorption of fat. Very important. So they play a very important role in the absorption of fat in the gastrointestinal tract by the lacteals. The lacteals are the lymph vessels in small intestine of the gastrointestinal tract. So the lacteals are the lymphatic vessel system in the small intestine absorbing the fat. Then it bathes the body tissues. It flows all over the body and it bathes the body tissues. And then production and maintenance and distribution of lymphocytes that provides the immune system. So these 5 functions are very important regarding the lymphatic system. Number 1, they maintain the body fluid balance mechanism, draining the excess of interstitial fluid into the blood. Number 2, immunity. They form B and T cells and forming the third line of defense mechanism. Third function, absorption of fat by the lacteals in the small intestine, in the gastrointestinal tract. They absorb fat. Number 4, they flow all through the body tissues and they bathe the tissues. And finally, it is forming the immune system by producing and maintaining the lymphocytes. So these are all about the lymphatic system. In the next video, we will pass on to the lymph cells, and then the next video we will pass on to the lymphoid organs, primary and secondary organs. Till then, thank you very much.